Welcome to the Art Project. If you enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and tap the bell so you'll be notified of future videos. I'm going to do a selfie monoprint. Actually, I'm not doing a selfie monoprint, but this is how you would do a selfie monoprint. I'm actually going to do a monoprint of 4 of my students. So for this, I have got a piece of plexiglass and I have taped off the edges or around the surrounding edges of a piece of white drawing paper. And then inside of that, I added another piece of tape so there'd be a little bit of a border. I then took printmaking ink and I spread it on the plexiglass. And you can use water-soluble, water-mixable oil paints if you want to. Then I put my white drawing paper on top of the ink. And then on top of the white drawing paper, I put a piece of a photograph of one of my students. I taped it down so that it wouldn't move and that I could flip it up and look and inspect it and see it from time to time. I then started going over everything with a pencil. Now, there are a couple of ways to do this, and I'm going to try out 4 different ways. But basically, any place that's dark, I'm going to kind of color in with my pencil. And I'm using what I know of hatching and cross hatching in order to shade in around the darker areas and the shadows. So when I'm done, it should sort of resemble an etching or a pen and ink drawing. I just lifted it up there to see what I've done and what I've missed and see if there's anything I need to fix. And that is the result right there. So it turned out pretty good. You can see the shadows are a little bit indistinguishable from the beard in a way, and that's a little bit, I don't know, just not exactly what I wanted. I'm now taking the same ink and I just put a piece of white drawing paper on it, and I didn't move anything around or smush anything just to see what it would do. It wasn't much. So now I've put out a little bit more ink, and I'm going to do it again, this time with a picture of a different student. Again, I'm going around the contours and I'm shading in sort of with my pencil. Anything that's dark, I'm coloring in. Anything that's a little bit lighter, I'm using hatching or cross hatching to do those shadows, and just going over it with a pencil. Now, my pencil is a little bit dull, but that's okay. And because the ink is thick, when you press down with the pencil, you're actually getting a wider line than even your pencil makes. And so you'll see at the end that the thinner the ink on the plate, the better. I'm also trying really hard not to actually press down with my hand anywhere on the paper, anywhere on the photograph, because I don't want my hand to inadvertently print anything, because basically what you're doing is printing by pressure or drawing with pressure. So anywhere I put pressure, whether with my hand or with the pencil, is going to leave a mark, and there's going to be residual marks anyway. You can kind of see it's dark, and the hatching, the shadow, kind of makes her look like she's got a beard. And so for the third one, I'm going to see what it looks like without really shading. I'm going to color in the dark areas dark and leave the areas that are like skin tone white without any shadows or anything, and we'll see how it looks. And you can see in this picture, there's a lot of shadow underneath her chin on her neck. Well, I'm not going to shade that in this time. There's also a little bit of light shadow there on her cheek or below her cheek. And I'm not going to do any of that. I'm just tracing over the things that need to be black and leaving the rest white. Again, I'm trying not to get my hand on the photograph too much because I don't want to press down. And I'm using the pencil, like I'm not holding it down close to the tip, because if I hold it close to the tip, then my hand will be on the paper. Right here, my hand's not really on the paper, even though it looks like it might be, or it's above the paper. My hand is lifted up, so it's not pressing down anywhere. I keep flipping it up to look at it periodically and then putting it back down. That's why it's hinged with tape at the top. And there's the result of that. I think without the cross hatching, it looks a little bit more like a less experienced drawing. I almost think the shadow is important. You just got to be careful how you do it so it doesn't look like you gave a girl a beard. So for this one, I am blotting the ink a lot. You can see there, I rolled the brayer over a piece of newspaper to get a lot of the ink up. This is the thinnest ink on the plate that I've had so far. I blotted it a couple of times. Also, I think that this one turned out the best, although I missed a few places as I was drawing. I did shade in, so you can see down there where she's got a lot of shadow underneath her chin and on the lower part of her face and under her eyes. I did all of that shading, sort of like you would hatch or cross hatch with a pen. And I think it worked out pretty well on this one, but it only worked out because I think there was a lot less ink on the plate. That's, I think, pretty important. So my fourth time was a charm. So if you need to look at any of these pieces individual, please rewind and pause on each picture and examine them and see which one you think turned out the best. Let me know down in the comments below which one you think turned out the best. Picture 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. And please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Tap the bell so you'll be notified of future videos, and subscribe. Hit the like button. Go ahead and do that now while you're thinking about it. Thanks. So this is just a different sort of monoprinting. It's a little bit cheating since I'm tracing an actual photograph. If you want to, you can draw your photograph first, or draw your picture, whatever it is you want to do, and you can lay the drawing on top of the drawing paper and trace it. In this particular picture, I did not really add any more ink after the whole thing, so you can see a little bit of the lines from the first, not from the first, but from the picture from before this one. And then when you're done, be sure to clean up your mess, wash off your brayer, and wash off your plexiglass. If you use water-soluble ink, you can still use a brayer. All right, that's it. Thanks for watching. Go make some art.